Hi everybody. I did two updates over the last couple days and I think my headphones are plugged in, so it didn't work out too well. There was no sound, obviously. So I just want to update you on what the heck has been happening with me since Friday of last week, so a whole week now. We were driving to the mountains for my husband's surprise birthday that I had planned. And halfway there, we were going to stop at my grandparents' house. The lights between I knew I wasn't feeling good. I was a little bit dizzy this in the morning. I thought it was just vertigo, whatever. I told my husband I'm not driving, and that was that. So he drove. We got to our halfway point, and the as we were driving, the lights between the trees made my eyes start to rapidly blink, and I thought it was just the nystagmus that happens when you do your Epley maneuver for vertigo. He started to roll back to the top of my head, whatever, and I started shaking uncontrollably, and my arms went numb, my legs went numb, and my upper lip went numb. And I was having a hard time speaking, but I could speak. I was conscious through it all. I had no idea what happened. My husband asked if we should pull over. We did. He put me on the ground. I still couldn't move my legs or my arms. Actually, I don't even know if I was shaking at that point, to be honest. Anyway, we called 911. They brought me to the hospital because I didn't know what was going on. I had two screaming kids in the back. They didn't have any idea what was happening to their mommy. And my husband brought the kids to my grandparents and then met up with me later at the hospital. I got the feeling back, but then I think that's when the shaking started. My head was like literally going like this, and it had been up until I want to say Wednesday. So 5 days or 6 days of doing that, and then my hand was shaking like this, or it wouldn't stop. And I just did not feel good at all. If I got more angry or upset about things, my head shook even worse. But I was like, you know what? I had already paid for the condo we were staying in. We're going to the mountains. We haven't had a vacation this year. Let's just go and enjoy ourselves the best we can, whether that mean I stay back at the condo with Scarlett, the youngest, and my husband go out with my oldest, or whatever. So we went to the condo. We went to the hospital in that place the next morning. I swear I've already done this video. I don't know, my head is all messed up, but here's the overview of it all anyway, if you just want to watch this one, if I did do another video. Went to that hospital. She said, oh, it's just vertigo. I would recommend that you go, or like the benign, I can't say it, BPPV if you want to look it up. She said, I would recommend you go see an ENT, and that's all she said. So, looking back at that, I'm kind of really ticked off at that because it was much more serious than vertigo. So we went to the mountains, like into the mountainous area, and my husband took my oldest up the gondola and to kind of hike the mountain, and I took the youngest, and we just kind of walked around the town. While my husband was on the mountain, he witnessed somebody go down, pass out, in and out of consciousness, and actually ended up passing away. So when my husband heard that they couldn't find a pulse on this man, he took my daughter immediately, and they were ready to come back down. He didn't want her witnessing it. All she said to him was that the guy needed a doctor. Clearly he did, but so that was sad and hectic. Went to the pool later that night. I was still dizzy. Typically my dizziness is only, well, it was only when I was laying down, and then it was positional, and then it wasn't even really there, but it had come back after this episode that I had on the Friday. Sorry if I'm rambling and going on and on. I don't really have a mind to think right now of what I'm saying. Anyways, came back home Sunday, still really shaky, not feeling well at all. Monday passed. I couldn't get into the doctor until Tuesday. So, Tuesday morning, I went in to see not my family doctor because she's always booked, but another man. He said, for your age and for the way you're shaking and all your symptoms, I really suggest you go to the ER in Edmonton, like the University Hospital or the Royal Alex, just to see what's going on. He said, just to give you a peace of mind, because my dad had a brain tumor when I was in high school, and I know it's not hereditary, but it's still a scary thing to think about. So, not thinking anything was completely up, I thought maybe there's some reason for my shaking. I went to the ER. I was there just before 11 a.m. I didn't get seen until, I want to say, after 4 or around 5. Then I had to wait another couple hours to get a CT scan. And I can't remember the other term for it, but I had a second CT scan where they shot dye at my arm into my brain. And, the reason why they did a second CT scan, here's the big kicker, is they had found bleeding on my brain. It was a little bit, but that definitely was what happened on Friday when I went numb and whatever. So that's why I'm ticked off at that doctor on Saturday who said it was probably nothing, because it could have been a whole lot worse. A whole lot worse. So, of course, I'm freaking out and only thinking about my kids and my family and, like, what am I going to do? Why is my brain bleeding? I'm 29. I didn't have a head injury. It literally happened in the car. We were just driving. So, they admitted me to the hospital overnight because they wanted me to get an angiogram. Angiogram is where they stick something like an IV in your femoral artery in your right leg. So a huge artery. They stick a camera up all the way to your brain. They use 3 different entrances, if you will, and shoot dye up there. So they didn't want me to eat from like midnight on because they said I would have it in the morning or at some point the next day. So Saturday, oh my gosh. Wednesday rolls along and I'm sitting there all day, not eating, on an IV. And I kept asking, when is it happening? When is it happening? And 5 o'clock rolls along. And I have been, by this time, like I haven't eaten since midnight the day before. Oh, they canceled it. They had misplaced their paperwork somewhere in the trail or something. I'm thinking it was one of the residents that actually did that because he said I didn't need it. He said there was no reason for it. So I obviously was pretty ticked off about that, and I hadn't seen an actual doctor all day. I did, however, see a neurologist, so I guess she's a doctor, but not the one that I was supposed to see, regarding the bleeding of the brain. She looked at me and she looked at all the shaking and had me do a couple tests, and then she told me that it's stress related. So non-organic shaking, and she said, and the thing that made me feel so much better is she said, I know you're not doing it on purpose. It's just like your body's coping mechanism currently, and it's going to take time, or it could take time, but you really need to just concentrate on not letting your body shake. And after that, I think I was so pissed off that I just lay there like a rock, and I wasn't shaking anymore because you think you're going crazy during this time. Like, are you making yourself shake? Is there something wrong? But you know what? In the grand scheme of things, I'm glad I don't have any disease, and I'm so grateful for that. It could be a lot worse. So I'm trying to deal with my stress. I have noticed when I start getting stressed again, my head will shake, or my hand will, or my arm will tremor, or whatever. So, then the following day, yesterday on Thursday, I saw my doctor who actually worked on my dad's brain tumor, and he said, "Okay, so we don't know why your brain is bleeding, and there's 3 options. I'll do the angiogram today. And at this point, I had one bite of muffin, so I was so pissed off because it probably could have been done earlier. But anyway, they said you can get the angiogram done now or today. You can wait 2 to 3 weeks and come back and get the angiogram done as an outpatient. Or number three is you can just wait and see if it happens again. Well, oh, and he said if you get it done, there's a 1 in 300 chance that you could have a stroke. So I had to think about that too. I outweighed all of the good and bad, and I thought, you know what, I'd rather get the angiogram done now or in 2 to 3 weeks and risk the stroke rather than risking possibly having something really wrong with my brain and having a stroke with the girls in the car or somewhere where I can't help anything. So I'd rather have that happen in the hospital. So I had initially said 2 to 3 weeks. I was missing my babies. I had never been away from my younger one more than 5 hours, and it had already been 2 nights. So I said 2 to 3 weeks. Then 5 minutes after, I changed my mind. I ran out and I said, well, hobbled out. And I said, listen, I want it done today. The nurse said, okay, I'll get a hold of him. Then I was like, oh, I don't know. And then the guy, the resident, who I'm sure misplaced my paperwork, comes into the room and says, are you ready to be released? Like not even 5 minutes after I talked to the nurse to say I changed my mind. I said, no, I'm getting the angiogram done. And he said, well, you don't need it. Everything's fine. Look at somebody who's had a brain bleed and tell them everything's fine. Like, honestly. So, anyway, I said, the doctor gave me 3 options. I went through them and he's like, what doctor? And he did say it like that. And I'm like, Dr. Chow or whatever his name is said that. And, so he's like, okay, I'll go look into it. And I highly doubt he did. And then the nurse who came in to me after that said, okay, you're being released today. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Third person saying I'm being released. I'm like, no, this is not happening. I am, oh no, never mind. That's the second person. I'm like, I'm not going until I get this angiogram done. And I was told, and she's like, well, you don't need it. And she was kind of arguing with me, but she was kind of on my side. And I said, listen, I talked to the doctor and blah, blah, blah. Finally, she came back. I argued with her and I was bawling my face off. And I said, I just want to get it done so I know that there's nothing really wrong with me. So finally, she came back and she said, okay, I'm doing everything I can. And then, of course, I was like, no, you're not, kind of, because that's what I keep being told. And that's what I was told the whole day prior. Uh, I was booked in for like 1:30 or something. So I did get my angiogram. I was kind of drugged up, so I was loopy, which was nice because I do not like needles. And it was kind of painful during the process, but at least I was kind of out of it. So I didn't really care. Got out of the angiogram, had to lay flat for 4 hours. I had to eat with my head back on the flat on the bed. Um, Good news is they did not find any reason for the brain bleed. It's also kind of bad news because I don't know if it'll ever happen again or why my brain bled. But I'm currently kind of just battling being dizzy, which I don't know if it's from the brain bleed or if it's from my vertigo. Um, then I'm also battling headaches that turn into migraines, and I'm pretty weak from the waist down. It could be because I've been laying in the bed for the last few days. I tried to walk around the other day, but anyway. So that is my story. Vertigo sucks, brain bleed sucks, but I'm doing a Bible study currently, and it's called Contentment of the Heart, I believe. I just read the first chapter the night before I was supposed to be released / angiogram, and it talked about how this lady just complained and complained and complained about all the negative when she had so much to be grateful for, and this other lady just was grateful for what little she had. And you know what? This brain bleed, I don't know if it's something to say, like, I mean, a serious something to say, Lindsay, slow down. Slow down with your life. Stop being stressed. It's not the end of the world. It could be so much worse. I don't know what it is, but all I know, 100% truthfully, all I know is that God is taking care of me and my family. And if I was meant to go, I was meant to go. But clearly, I'm still here. And clearly, there's nothing severely wrong with me. Um, it could be so much worse. Like, it could have been a brain tumor, like my dad had, or cancer, or the shaking could have been like Parkinson's. And I feel for anybody who has those diseases, but anybody who I do see, a lot of those people are positive and they keep a positive lookout on life. And from this experience, I'm going to try and continue to have a positive outlook on life because you never know when your day could be your last. Anyways, if you've made it through this entire video, thank you. I know it was really long, but that's that. So, anyways, thank you guys for watching and supporting me. I'll keep you updated. Obviously, my weight loss slash workout journey is kind of at a halt. I'm hoping to get back into it, but we'll see when that time comes. All right, thanks, guys. Bye.